Hey, this is Russ. Did you watch my last video? If you didn't watch the last video, go and watch that one first before you watch this one, okay? I'll put a link in the description below, and I'll also put something up here. If you're on a computer, you just click on it. It's a short video. It's only like 6 minutes long. Go see that one first, then come back and watch this one. Otherwise, it won't make any sense, okay? All right, now that you're back, I want to clarify a couple things about that video. Because some comments were made, and I said, I didn't clarify it enough. So I said, I got to make a follow-up video to make it more clear so you understand what I was saying there, okay? I don't know if I ever did it like a part 2 video, but here's a part 2, okay? So let me explain why I'm doing this. I had a comment in the video over there. And the person said that when I first started the story, he said in his brain he was thinking of like an 80 or 90-year-old man riding a bike, because I said an old guy was riding a bike. And so, yeah, was he 80 or 90 years old at that time? No, he wasn't. All right, I did some calculating, okay? And based on the year that he was born, and based on the year I would have saw him, and I know exactly what year it would be because, you know, the store that we owned, I could calculate it out, and then I could base it on when did I get married, and then it was like maybe a year or two before that. That's when I first saw him. So based on the calculations, and he's my father-in-law, right? Well, I didn't know that at the time. He was 64 years old when I first saw him riding that bike. And so I said, there's the old guy on the bike. Now, think about this, okay? In a few days, I'm going to be 64 years old. Yeah, I'm having a birthday coming up very shortly. And so I am his age when he was riding the bike past our store every single day. Now, people look at me and they go, you don't look 64, okay? So I'm thinking, okay, if I look this way at 64, what did my father-in-law look like when he was 64? Did he look like me? If he kind of looked like me, what gave me the right to say there's that old guy riding the bike? I'm thinking that if you're in your 20s, because I would have been early to mid 20s at the time. I would have probably been, I'm going to guess the maybe 23, 24 years old, something like that. So he was what, 40 years older than me, a little over 40 years older than I was at the time when I first saw him riding that bike. What gave me the right to say there's that old guy riding the bike? Do you just because you're a 20-year-old kid, mid 20s or so, does everybody in their 60s look like an old guy riding a bike? Or was there something about him that made him look older than he actually was? I don't really know. I need to see a photo of him when he was like when he was like 64 years old. Otherwise, how else would I have been able to just call him the old guy riding the bike? You see what I'm saying? It just kind of dawned on me. I says, what gave me the right to say he's an old guy? Now, granted, I believe at the time he was older than my father was, because my wife is actually one of many kids in that family, and she was one of the later kids. Okay, so obviously my father-in-law is older than my father would have been. Okay, at that time, and well, he'd always be older by a certain amount, right? So did he actually look older at 64 than I do at 64? It just made me think about that. I'm going, yeah. We were the same age. We're the same age at this point. I'm the same age riding my bike now as he was when he was riding his bike. So it just kind of dawned on me. Now, other people said too, where was he going? Why was he always riding the bike past the store? Okay. Well, he was going to the grocery store. I put a little graphic on there. I guess if you use the closed captions and you read it, you might not see that, because I think the closed captions covered over the graphics that I put down that said he was going to the grocery store. He had a habit of going to the grocery store every day. Just something to do. Like, he was already retired, and it was just something for him to do. People go to the grocery store, they buy a whole bunch of groceries to come back, right? Well, he's on a bike. He can't buy a whole bunch of stuff. Plus, he liked going to the grocery store on a daily basis. It just gave him something to do. And I think the store was only, let's say a mile, mile and a half away, okay, on the same street. He'd just hop onto the main street, okay, and his home wasn't that far from the main street, just like a couple of houses away. So he'd get down on the main street that we were on, because we were on one of the major streets of the city, and he'd just ride his bike on the sidewalk all the way down to the store, which was on the same side of the street, okay? So it wasn't a difficult or dangerous ride for him. He'd just ride on the sidewalks until he got there. And then he'd pick up one or two items and they'd ride all the way back home, okay? So that's why he was always riding his bike going someplace. And it was always going to the same grocery store just to pick up an item or two, just something to do. Here's the weird part about it. I kind of do that too. Now, I'm not riding my bike all the time to do that, but I'll go to the grocery store. Because I'm retired, my wife is still working. I'll go to the grocery store to pick up stuff for the week, but I don't buy everything at one time. I'm kind of like him too. I will buy one or two items, bring it back home, and then I go, I'm out of whatever. I'll go out and I'll buy a couple items. It just gives me some place to go, but I usually take my car. Okay, now you might be saying, Russ, why don't you take your bike? I don't like to leave my bike in front of the store and get it stolen. So I don't take the bike. I take the car. Now, if my wife is with me, we will ride our bike to the grocery store together. I would watch both bikes. She goes inside. She gets the stuff. We bring it back home on the two bikes. All right. So I kind of do the same thing as he does at this point as well. I'll just buy one or two items every time. So now here's the thing. Why is he able to ride his bike and leave it and go into the store and come back? It's because his bike was old and beat up. And somebody made a comment. I hope that eventually someone got him a decent bike. He wouldn't want it anyway. Okay, he would only want the ones that he has. And it was so beat up. I'm not kidding. It was so beat up. Nobody would want to steal this thing. That's the ideal bike to have. Because I don't think he even locked up the bike. He probably just left it in front of the store. Who was going to touch that thing? No one's going to want that bike. It's so beat up. I'm not kidding. Think about the most beat up bike you can think of. That was kind of like his bike. And I think he was happy to do it because he wouldn't have to chain it up. He would just simply go inside, get what he needs to go and get, come back out and leave. No one's touching that bike. I can't do that with my bikes. If I did that with one of my e-bikes, left it out there, by the time I get back, it's gone. All right. No way could I do that. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that yeah, he's the same age. and I just don't know why I would say he was the old guy, because okay, to me he looked like an old guy. I need to find a photo of him. Now, even if I do, I'm not going to show it to you. Okay, I'll keep the privacy there, but yeah, it just had to be clarified. Okay, all right, let's move on to another topic. Okay, had to get that off my chest. All right, next topic, spokes. Totally has nothing to do with that topic. Spokes. Let me tell you another story. Okay, my dad bought me a bike when I was I guess I was probably freshman year of high school. Okay. Now he had gotten me another bike through a police auction before. I told this story before too, but I don't know if I told you this other story. But yeah, my very first bike that he got me, he got it from me and my brother. We went to the Chicago Police Department's police auction. Okay, and I remember it distinctly. I can still see it in my brain when we were there. They held it at some boxing ring. Yeah, I don't know if it's a boxing ring or a wrestling ring, but that's how they did it. And they did a yearly auction for the Chicago Police Department. They used to keep doing that. In fact, I went to one not too long ago, a couple years ago, but I think they stopped the police auction. But this is stolen goods that has to be gotten rid of because they get so many stolen bikes and so many stolen this and that, and people don't come and claim it. Police department can't be holding property forever. They just get rid of it. So they auction it off, okay? So we went to the police auction, and my dad bought me a banana seat bike. You know what I'm talking about? The ones with the sissy bars. the big, they look like mini choppers. Yeah, I had one of those things, okay? My brother got a Schwinn something 3-speed bike. And yeah, he got hit by a car. Did I tell you that one? Okay, let me go and tell you that story too. He got hit by a car He was riding the bike, and then he was at a stop sign with my sister, who's 5 years younger than I was, and this is when oh, he must have been about 10 or 12 years old, something like that. 12 years old. Let's say 12 or 13 years old, something like that. And my sister was with him. She's a lot younger. She's 5 years younger than me. And my brother's 2 years older than me, well, 18 months. And so anyway, he was crossing the street at a stop sign. And so this car stopped at the stop sign. They started going across. And of course, the car's not looking to the right. They're looking to the left to see if there's any cars coming. So she starts up. And of course, he's in the intersection now, crossing the street, crossing the intersection. So she hits him. Yeah, hits him and knocks him over, bends the bike frame and everything. So the lady was so scared about it, she gave him her phone number and everything. And then she called my dad and says, I want you to go buy him a new bike. So my dad says, it doesn't matter. It's an old bike. We got it from the police auction. She says, no, buy him a brand new bike. I think she was afraid that he would sue. He hurt his leg a little bit, but it wasn't so bad. So he got a new Schwinn bike out of it. Anyway, a couple years later, after that old bike that I had, the banana seat type bike, he bought me a 10-speed bike. Okay, and this is a cheap bike as well. And so we went to EJ Corvettes, was the name of the store. And he bought me this bike. I don't know, it was under $100, probably $80-something bike, probably something like that. And we're talking about early 1970s. So I don't know how much that comes out in those terms. But he bought this bike. It's already pre-assembled from the store. Brought it home. I'm riding it around. And so one day I went to ride the bike in the evening, probably around 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And I pull out. I'm riding, and then the spokes gave way. Okay, they didn't adjust the spokes properly. If you ever seen a tire go bad after spokes fall apart, right? It literally, if you look at the cross section of a wheel, okay, it's just like straight vertical. Well, this one was like this. After it caved in, it literally bent the entire rim. Okay, I was lucky I didn't get killed on that bike. So I had to get back home. I was about 2 blocks away. Had to kind of lift up the front end of the bike because the front wheel had caved in, and went back home to my dad. Well, he immediately ran out to the store with me and was yelling at the manager, says, you guys are selling product like this because my kid could have get hurt, you know? So they gave me another bike instead. Okay, so it wasn't the same model or anything like that. It was another bike. It was a white bike that he gave me. So I don't know if it was a better bike or not. It probably wasn't. I don't know. But that's how I got my my other 10-speed bike. But yeah, if you don't check your spokes, that could very well happen. Yeah, if the tensions aren't right, or maybe it wasn't tensioned at all. I don't know what happened. Yeah, it just caved in. Can you imagine that happening on an e-bike? Yeah, you know, you're going 20-something miles an hour and that thing caves in like that. Yeah, you're not gonna survive that too well. So yeah, make sure your spoke tensions are correct. And if you don't know how to do that, bring it to a bike shop and ask them to check out your spokes. Doesn't hurt. Check every bolt on your bike as well. This is a good time to do it during the winter, just before you start riding again during the spring. Check all the connections. Make sure the bolts are tightened, nothing's loosened up or anything like that, because yeah, it could be kind of dangerous. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say today. I had to clarify that story, and just wanted to talk to you about the spokes. Hey, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you guys next time.